So Chelsea blown away at Old Trafford in their opening game of the season and Frank Lampard's first game in charge of the Premier League. Andy, let's get straight into it. How would you assess Manchester United's performance?
I'll take it. I thought first half was very even. Second half, Manchester United played extremely well on the counter-attack and took our chances. And Ollie will be delighted with that. First home win of this season was a massive game as well. What
did you think of the front three and how they're blending together?
Yeah, to be fair, I think they've worked well all pre-season. They've looked lively. They've all got good pace about them. And it's about creating chances and scoring goals. And to see, obviously, Marcus get a couple and Martial get the other as well was a big plus for the weekend.
They've been working on their fitness, Paul, over pre-season. That's one thing that Ollie thought was very important for them to be doing. Did it show on that pitch?
Oh, it did at the end of the game. You see the goal when Pogba releases James at the end. He's run 40, 50 yards with the ball. That's easier to do when you're 3-0 up than when it's 1-0 down. But, yeah, I think the more fitter you are, the more chance you got. And especially a team like Man United who, looking at the way they played, are probably going to be a little bit more defensively. And as the game opens up later on in the game, and then you've got people like Pogba that can and should take the game to people and rip people apart.
2 goals for Marcus Rashford. It was 10 goals last season and 6 assists. Do you think, when you say he might have a big season, what more does he need to do in terms of becoming a more whole player?
He's got to get more goals. I think what was his best return last season?
Yeah,
10.
Last season was
10 in the league. And I think Marcus knows as well. I don't think he wants to be looked at as a number 9. I think he wants to look at the position, you can play off the left or play off the right. But ultimately, you still got to score goals. So I'm looking for a real big season of Marcus this season, because now he's going to have the opportunity to do it. Lukaku's moved on, and Ollie's got the 3 boys up front.
You can look at all different areas for Manchester United in that game against Chelsea and pay compliments to them. Why don't we focus on Paul Pogba? Played a slightly deeper role, and it seemed to work out.
I thought it worked out towards the end of the game, if I'm being honest. I thought first half, I thought he just played on the edge of the game, if I'm being honest. I thought there was a few flicks here and there. I just thought he was... I always watch Paul Pogba. He's a World Cup winner. He's played at Juventus, ripped it up at Juventus, who are a big club. I always think... I watch him and I go, go on, give me more. Give me more. There's loads in the locker with him. He could rip up... I look at him and I think he could rip up any game at any time. But he plays so casually, and I admire it because he'll just play at his pace. He plays in front of 75,000 people, and if he gives the ball away, and he gets on with it. Nothing flusters him. I just think every now and then I just like for him to go, like he did in the second half, when he gets that ball and he just runs away from Azpilicueta. Azpilicueta's not slow, and he's got the ball. And then he has time to pull it back and then find a pass. I mean, that's world class. He should be doing that from the word go. It seems to me like he paces himself, and I just see how I am. In the last 15 minutes, I'll give it a right go. He's better than that. He's a top draw player. But I could see why they played him deeper, because they haven't got anybody out that holding midfield player. I like McTominay. I thought he was good. I thought he played well yesterday. But with Pogba, he's the one who can start moves off. You need someone at the back who can start coming out. I know Maguire can come out and he can play, no doubt about that. And then you can give it to Pogba and he can come out and play. And Andy tell you, you're only as good as the people that provide you. And the front three need people like Pogba who are going to put the ball through the eye of a needle. And I think that's where Man United have struggled over the last year or two. They haven't had that cutting edge in the midfield that, Matic comes in, he's not going to put the ball through the eye of a needle. And I think Pogba's the one for me. But when you go through the season, you just got to win that game. They weren't great, but they won 4-0.
Yeah, it's his first game of the season. You always want to try and win your home games. And, it doesn't really matter in the end how you win it, but to win it 4-0, everyone's going to be buzzing about that. Mercy's touched on Paul there. I think Pogba, his pass for Rashford, that tells you all about him.
Does he get the criticism that he deserves or the praise that he deserves?
I'm a massive fan of him, and Paul knows that as well. I'm a big fan of his, and I think sometimes he gets too much criticism because a lot's expected of him. Me and Merson were speaking before, and a lot's expected of him. And ultimately, when someone expects so much of one individual and he doesn't perform week in, week out. Everyone starts questioning him and his ability, his mindset or whatever maybe. By all reports, what I've heard, he's been absolutely unbelievable since he's come out of pre-season. He's worked his socks off, not been a problem. And he's doing the right things. And I think that performance yesterday, especially second half and the passes and the goal that he sets up for James as well, I think that speaks volumes for him.
You talk about passes, let's have a little look. It's a comparison between last season and the position that he held there compared to the position that he played against Chelsea on Sunday, slightly deeper role. So, I mean, the ones that you really want to focus on are the last three here. So the percentage of passing in his own half, 31% last season versus 56% on Sunday, so a much deeper role, and the chances created, 1.6 last season versus 4 this season, and then the assists, 0.3 versus 2.
I think Ollie's pulled a bit of a stroke here, if I'm being honest, because what he's done, he's got him to come deeper to get on the ball. You know, he was playing a bit more advanced, and he wasn't getting the ball. People wasn't finding him. When they were finding him, he was easy to pick up because people would just drop him, picking him up. Now he's got him coming deeper and he's getting on the ball. And when he's on the ball, he'll make things happen. And that gives him confidence, you know. And I think for me, I would play him deeper. I want him on the ball. I don't want him further up the pitch and no one finds him or he's easy to pick up. You know, and he can find a pass. He found one last season against someone, I forget who it was, and he put Rashford in, took a touch, he smashed it in. But the ball was phenomenal. It was a first time little half volley over the defender's head. So he's got the vision. So for me, get him back, further back, get him on the ball and let him make things happen.
Andy, after the game, he said to one of the journalists that the question mark about his future remains. Can you see him staying at Manchester United?
This season, 100%. Me personally, I can't see Manchester United letting him go now. The transfer window's closed. It would be to Manchester United's disadvantage to let him go now. So I can't see that materialising. You know, they keep him for one more season or 2 more seasons. You know, if Paul can help Manchester United finish in the top 4 this season, that's where Manchester United need to be at.
If he did go, Paul, who might replace him that they already have?
No one. They can't let him go. Cannot let him go. I mean, this is Man United. You know, I always say it, they're the biggest club in the world. They can't sell him. They can't sell him. They know the transfer window's shut. He's still their top player. They've just let one of their top players go in Lukaku, which was a shock for me. They can't let Paul Pogba go. Just signed a top player in Harry Maguire. What did you make of his first performance in the Premier League? I thought he was steady. I thought he's got that command and he's got a presence. He looks like a centre half. He doesn't mess about. You know, I thought he did very well. I did. You know, I thought I was very critical on Saturday, if I'm being honest, of him on Soccer Saturday. I tried to get hold of him today. I'll talk to him tomorrow. He texts me back. And I thought I was a bit critical, if I'm being honest. I thought, you know, what I wanted to say didn't really come across the way I thought it should have. What did you say and what did you want to say? I thought it was a lot of money, which I did, but I sort of didn't give him the credit he deserves of how good he is. You know, when people show highlights, and we're critical on Sky, we show highlights, and everything we show is coming out, playing. You know, I was brought up in a day and age where it was clear your lines. You know, a Tony Adams or a John Terry or someone like that. So I was a bit disrespectful in that way. He's played in World Cup semi-finals. He's an international, and you know, I was out of order, and I'll be the first to admit that. I thought he was steady. He's a presence. He's comfortable on the ball, but he will have to defend as time goes on. And I think if Chelsea were more clinical and they had better players playing up front, it wouldn't have been his fault, but they would have scored goals. You know, and so for me, he's better than what they got. A lot better than what he got. And I think a clean sheet, I know we look back and we go, they hit the post and they had this shot and De Gea made a great save with his feet, but they still kept a clean sheet. And whoever keeps a clean sheet every week, the other teams always have a chance to score. So for me, yeah, he did well. He'll get better. And I think with Pogba coming back as well, I think you need protection. I don't think the Man United back four got a lot of protection last year, and I thought that's why they kept on getting ripped to shreds. This time round, again, I go back to Matoma. I thought he was good. I thought, you know, the lad, for a young lad, always wanted the ball, never shied away, never give it away hardly. You know, and I just think, I thought it wasn't a great performance, but in the last 30 minutes, when their confidence was up, and it's all about confidence this game. Yeah, 100%. When they went 2-0 and then 3-0, they were a completely different team. They would have given anybody a game the last 30 minutes, but they got to do that in the first 60 when it's 0-0 or first 30. So for me, yeah, he ticked all the boxes the other day.
Will he have a positive effect on the teammates around him, talking about the back four, but also De Gea as well?
Yeah, 100%, because, you know, he's most touched on it. He's a confident player. You know, for me personally, he's a real good centre-half. You know, he's tidy, the ball at his feet, he's prepared to come out and play. He's got good pace about him, and he's strong. And I think playing with Lindelof, that's a good partnership, really, because Lindelof's a good player. I think last season he took a little bit of flack, but he was getting used to the Premier League. I think to the back end of last season, he proved just how good he was. I think these two will be good. And long may it continue. It's all about keeping clean sheets for any team. You know, we're vying to try and win the Premier League or get into the top four.
It's a different story at Chelsea. We know obviously the problems that they're having, no transfers in terms of the transfer ban, but were they as bad as the scoreline suggested yesterday?
No, they wasn't. They wasn't. I mean, I was watching the game, I was thinking, got to score while on top, got to score while on the top, because you know United are going to get a chance. I mean, I played at United a million times, got on the coach after the game, and you scratch your head and you go, how didn't we get a result today? And that was exactly what it was like yesterday for a lot of the game, but it was the way they capitulated at the end, worrying. You know, I looked at the game and there was a couple of things. He's let David Luiz go, and he's strengthened an arch enemy of his that are fighting for a top four place. Now they're trying to come out. I go to Chelsea, I go and watch Chelsea. They play out from the back. He's the only one who plays it. He's the only one who's comfortable on the ball. The others are not comfortable. Emerson's comfortable, but Emerson played half the games last year. Alonso did. So you're asking Zuma to pass the ball out, which he's not up to that at the moment. You know, he's just got back into Chelsea's team. Then I look at Kante. They're 3-0 down with 20 minutes to go. You bring Kante on. You're thinking, he's not going to come on and get hat-trick. Why don't you just sit him back and go, you know what, we've got a big game Wednesday or we've got a massive game next Sunday. Because it's a massive game. Because people are going to be watching that game and, you know, and people are going to be starting asking, wait there a minute, you know, Brendan Rodgers, what's Brendan Rodgers doing at Leicester? Why isn't he at Chelsea? You know, and this becomes a big game on Sunday.
Jose Mourinho was in the studio for Super Sunday and he said that they were too soft, not aggressive enough. He criticised the team selection, Frank's team selection. He said, you've got all that experience on the bench, why aren't you using it? And you look at the likes of Kante. He says, look, if he's fit for 30, 35 minutes, he should be fit for the whole game. Does he got a point? Yeah,
because I would have said, if he's fit, be fit for the first 60 minutes. Because if I'm in the game here against Man United for 70 minutes and we're 0-0, then I got every chance here, because the fans then the players are getting uptight for United. So I would have started him. It was a head scratcher for me. You know, Mount, he has confidence in Mount. He likes Mount. He probably sees a bit of Mount in himself. I got no qualms. Young lad, Abraham, sorry. It's hard. He's been playing in the Championship. You know, there's no disrespect, but you pick up bad habits in the Championship. You know, now he's playing against the creme de la creme. You know, you're getting one or two chances. The one when it gets cut across, and Giroud scores there. Because Giroud's played in the Premier League, he knows that's coming across.
I thought he was unlucky because he had one that hit the post yesterday.
Yeah, no, but and then the one when it come across the 6-yard box and he stops. Because he in his head he's
got to gamble.
That ain't coming.
Yeah, he's got to gamble.
Because when he's at Aston Villa, that ain't coming. But these are world-class players and it's coming.
Giroud was an option. Would you have started him?
Well, I started. It all depends what Frank's looking for. Now, Tammy Abraham. Possibly more pace, not possibly more pace than Giroud. Might be looking, I want to try and stretch Manchester United, I want to try something different. Giroud's an old-fashioned centre forward. You know, he might be thinking, Maguire at the back, tussle, I don't fancy that. So it all depends what Frank was thinking. But most touched on it, Giroud, he's playing in the Premier League for some time now, and he knows when to gamble or whatever. But for me personally, the younger kids have to be given opportunity at some stage, you know, instead of send them all out on loan. It looks like Frank's got the opportunity now, with no transfer windows, no players to bring in, to give the kids the opportunity to work with those to see where they're at.
This is how ruthless the game is as management. We could be sitting here tonight and saying Frank Lampard is the best manager. What a manager. He's just gone to Man United and he's just ripped Man United to shreds.
Of course.
They're 3-0 up in 25 minutes and it's like, and Man United ain't coming back then. But they get beat 4-0 and we're all asking questions. That's what you're playing against.
Well, that's why we love football.
That's why we love it. And that's why it's such a hard job for managers. You feel for managers. And it's easy for us all to sit here now and put Kante. And he might have even thought after the game when he got on the coach or the plane or the train and thought, Shouldn't have put him on, you know.
Yeah.
But he get lost in the game and he's probably frustrated and thought, wait there, put him on. I don't want to get beat 5 and 6 here. And I'll put him on. You know, there's all kinds of thinking. But I thought they did all right. Well, I didn't think they did all right. I thought they were outstanding first half, if I'm being honest. Just didn't have that cutting edge.
Don't forget Frank's learning as well.
Yeah, exactly.
He's learning as well.
And he needs the whole year to get that experience.
So what would be success for them? What would be?
Oh, if they got in the
position
top 4, that would be massive. That would be massive. So, yeah, seriously. I mean, you just got rid of the best player in the world.
If it's anything less than top 4, you know, would they keep Frank on? Is it still a success?
I think it's how the kids come through, how good the kids perform that do come through, and when they do get beat, it's how you get beat.
Yeah,
it's how you get.
Yeah.
Everybody loses. Yeah. You know, we've seen that. Even Liverpool lost the game last season. It's how you lose a football match, and you don't want too many of the way they lost on Sunday, because at the end there was a lot of heads down.
Yeah, me personally, I think he'd be given time, because ultimately he's got no window. You know, he can't have a transfer window at the start of the season. He can't have one in January. So really, it's not until next season. You know, so to give the kids an opportunity to see where the kids are. A few of those are injured as well at the moment. Me speaking about that as well. So I think Frank knows he's got a difficult job on his hands, and no doubt should have sat down with the owner in the summer. And he would have explained that to the owner. So they will have in their mind what they're looking for, what would be a good season for them, and then come back next season.